All right. Last time the root text says here, generate the supreme mind of enlightenment. Right? Do you think too much bodhicitta? Talking too much bodhicitta? Well, I'm following Lama Tsongkhapa. So, bodhicitta has three qualities according to Lama Bhakta Rinpoche. The first, he said, it is very gentle, which is love. Second, it is very clear, which is wisdom. And then third, it is very open, which is the reality, that the emptiness or whatever, the nature of enlightenment. Okay? So, all right, okay. So the thing is, we need to generate bodhicitta again, because a kind mind is the opposite of bad motivation. So this love and clarity and openness are all one thing, okay? And this one thing is what we call bodhicitta, right? So bodhicitta is clear. Bodhicitta is what you call love and openness. So all of that, bodhicitta. What is the characteristic of bodhicitta? Clear, love, clarity, love, and emptiness. So this one thing is what we call bodhicitta. So it is very important to recognize bodhicitta as an antidote to the selfish mind. We have to keep that in our mind all the time, right? Because then we remember our selfishness. And the teachers of the Buddha describe bodhicitta in two ways, right? Relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. So relative bodhicitta is training the mind in love and compassion. According to ultimate bodhicitta, these appearances are just our mind's manifestations of confusion. That means they are not actually existent in any way whatsoever, but they are like the, appearances in a dream. So ultimate bodhicitta is resting in the nature of mind. That's related to emptiness, teaching on emptiness, right? It will come tomorrow. So through meditation, when we look directly at the mind's nature, then you're going to see, its nature, which you can call that's ultimate bodhicitta, or the union of emptiness and appearances. So this kind of bodhicitta is an extremely high realization. It is the complete sort of opposite of the self-cherishing attitude. And we're going to talk about this in the last of the three principles of the path, tomorrow. So bodhicitta is about, the relative bodhicitta is about motivation. Ultimate bodhicitta is beyond bad or good motivation, right? It's just beyond tayata omgate gate parangate parasangate bodhisoha. That is the ultimate bodhicitta. It's go beyond everything. But relative, we need actually relative bodhicitta in our daily life. So relative bodhicitta is actually about our motivation. And I think we can understand it by thinking of two different people who have two different motivations. One person wants to become a good practitioner and is looking for freedom, or enlightenment, even in this very lifetime, because their motivation is not only this life and for themselves, but for the future and for others. That's another motivation. And then the other person is like looking for just some practice that can help him or her to develop I think I'm touching something. Okay. To develop relaxation, peace, awareness, mindfulness. Because the reason is, stress. So this person's motivation is only for this life, right? This life, and only for him or herself. So this person wants some benefit from the practice of meditation. So two different kind of motivation, but that is not really sort of Mahayana, practice and the bodhicitta motivation. It's kind of related to, again, the selfishness, right? According to Mahayana Buddhism, the essence of our practice is a pure intention. Mahayana practitioners' motivation is not based on their self-centered mind, but it's based upon love and kindness, right? Love and kindness. So I think we are kind of mixed, like half Hinayana, half Mahayana, right? I mean, it's true, right? Sometimes, most of the time, we think about ourselves, But sometimes, for sure, we think about others and do good things for others. So nothing wrong. I think we're kind of mixed, both. They're not contradict, Mahayana and Hinayana, not contradict. They're, we can do that, I mean, it's actually we are, So we have both kind of motivation. When we meditate, we correct our motivation. We think, for other beings, but at the same time, we want, happiness. We want sort of, calm, peaceful, all of that. So that's kind of, so we have both motivation actually. And generally, speaking, taking care of others can be done with two different kinds of motivation. One is caring for others in a sort of an unhealthy way, which is really acting out of fear and attachment. People are attached to their sort of reputation, relationships, and respect, and so forth. Therefore, sort of their fear losing this kind of attitude and object. Because of that, they take care of others for their own benefit, right? And they are sort of protecting themselves. And I mean, it's pretty good, but not the best kind of motivations, I think. They're taking care of others, but their motivation is because for them, become famous or good reputation. If they don't do that, they're going to lose all of their thing. So it's kind of, selfish, right? But the taking care of others, that part is good. And the other way of taking care of other is motivated by genuine sort of affection, love. And this is what the Buddha encouraged. This kind of love and affection and respect for others is not looking for something in return. Isn't that clear? And you will naturally feel love for others, and then your motivation to help them will be based on genuinely sort of wanting them, to be happy. So your motivation, this kind of motivation to help other, is not based on your self-centeredness, right? So there are two different motivations and two ways kind of taking care of others. And if a person has cultivated non-attachment and acts with genuine motivation, then that kind of relationship will be very healthy and stable, because there is this kind of kind mind, or there is like love, genuine love instead of attachment. So that's why I think healthy and stable. The Mahayana teachings are based on the idea of they called openness and communication and being without sort of expectations. Don't ask and hope for something in return. So then if we have that kind of motivation, I think, our mind, that then the situation is very kind of healthy, and how do you say, it's very stable. If you are not looking for something, in return, then you just totally, you are given, like, if you try to help others and not, you have like no hope for anything, in return, most people have that, right? So I help you this, then you say something nice about me, or even like you send me a nice card, or something we always looking for, return. So that shows our motivation is not really sort of genuine, right? So the Mahayana, the Bodhisattvas, they just totally give. There's nothing, hope for anything in return. So, I mean, that's wonderful. So if we can do that, then everything's clear. Otherwise, if we have this kind of expectations, then the other person can't, they don't give us anything, then our mind is kind of upset, and then kind of, oh, next time I will do not do that, something like that. So, but most of the time we don't have that kind of mind, but we can develop this through our bodhisattva practice, and in order to learn to have that kind of motivation, according to the Tibetan sort of traditions, the traditional way of cultivating relative bodhicitta is to choose your mother as the first sort of example of someone you feel and as the most important person in your life, So, the good thing is in Tibetan culture is the children and their parents a really good relationship. So their mother is the most important thing in their life, So we hear, some are not like that. So I don't know about them, maybe. But if you have really good connection with your parents, and then especially your mother is very important. So then you can develop through, that kind of relationship, then you can expand more like that, As a Buddhist, we believe future, past life, then makes sense. Everybody has been our parents, right? Our mother, For instance, if you eat meat, you think, oh, I'm eating my mother, something like that. It's kind of, scared, It's actually is, if we believe past and future life, and then according to Buddhism, we have like 6 realms, different realms, but right? So we are just blue, we don't have control. So just we follow our karma. So then sometimes we return into animals, sometimes human beings, sometimes like we took birth different beings. So, that's why, like these animals also our parents, our mothers, our fathers, So therefore, through that, in Tibetan, the tradition or the culture or whatever, this way develop love and compassion to others through think about your mother, and then you meditate on that. So helpful. But looking for enlightenment, in this very lifetime is very good, but Most important, I think, is developing a good heart of bodhicitta. And this is my sort of, goal, and my always I think, I don't care if I, get enlightenment this lifetime, but I really hope that I will have like genuine bodhicitta and good heart, satisfaction and renunciation this very lifetime. That's what I'm looking for. That's my goal, right? My goal is not like getting enlightenment this lifetime. It will be nice, but but necessary is need genuine bodhicitta, renunciation, satisfaction. We should do that. We should make sure before we die we have these things. If you really sort of think about them, it's not so difficult though. Not difficult, because we can do that. We can. It's just we have to practice. That's the thing. So especially like most, if you have lots of time, then practice. What else you to do? What else we do is practice. Sometimes of course do something else, but most time we should focus on our practice. Make sure that we have bodhicitta, we have renunciation. Okay, that's the thing. Emptiness last tomorrow. So. So, if we have renunciation and bodhicitta this lifetime, that means then we reached the path of accumulation. Remember? Path of accumulation? It is the first of the 5 paths, right? So then we go through all the other paths, right? But that's life after life, no problem. No problem. But the path of accumulation, make sure that we really on that. We really reach, we really establish this path. Otherwise, we never know next life. So this life we have to reach and a path of accumulation, because so in order to have that path, then we practicing, renunciation, bodhicitta are very important. That's what we should do. That's our goal. Not enlightenment, but make sure we have bodhicitta, we have renunciation. So, so we need to understand the benefit of this practice, and we need to know how to practice this, renunciation, bodhicitta. So when you practice bodhicitta, first, usually, I, meditate bodhicitta. First, like watching my breath for a few minutes, just, if I have lots of thoughts, and, then this helps me like a little bit calm, my mind. So I just don't practice right away bodhicitta, say prayers, and then just focus on my breath. And sometimes that works, sometimes doesn't work. That's okay, right? So you do that, and then visualize the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, your root teacher, my root teachers in front of me. That's really helps a lot, because then I'm not kind of here alone. Somebody's helping me. Kind of like it's really helpful. So in front of you, like your Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, you visualize that, and then choose the situation of a person or yourself or family members or animals, whatever, who is suffering, right? We can find that easily. So this will be the object of your contemplation, right? Meditate on this suffering until your sort of heart, your mind, like really fills with great compassion. That's not difficult at all. You will, if you find a perfect the object, who are suffering, yourself, others, whatever, then you will feel, definitely you will feel your compassion. It's like a fire, you can touch fire, you can feel it, right? Something like that. When you have compassion, you will feel it. So if you do this meditation, you will come to understand how suffering feels. That's the thing, right? With that feeling, you can do any of your daily sort of activities. So this, once you understand the suffering, right? So you don't want harm others or yourself because you feel it. If you get sick and then from food, and then after that you understand that, then after that you don't want to eat that food. The same thing, if you feel the suffering, you don't want harm. That's the benefit of practice bodhicitta, right? Not harming others is so great, very good. And then we can do that. We can do that. That's only, not harming others. We are not thinking about help others, but not harming others is enough. It's really good. It's really good. So with that kind of feeling, then we can do anything. Whatever we do is really beneficial. And once you understand that, then you're going to reduce the causing of suffering, right? That is how you achieve your happiness, your bodhicitta, develop your bodhicitta. So, first time, I know, you will get sort of uncomfortable feelings when you think about suffering, like this kind of things. I know, you feel like weird and kind of uncomfortable thinking about the suffering. But, according to Mahayana teaching, that feeling is so important. That uncomfortable feeling is very important because it gives you all the great qualities like compassion, love, passion and wisdom. Then you are able to see that other beings suffer through that uncomfortable feeling, That's why I said bodhicitta is an antidote to selfishness. So bodhi means awakened, right? Awakened. And chitta is mind. Mind. So as you know, bodhicitta is the root of the Mahayana path. So this is because without bodhicitta, there is no bodhisattva path, right? Without bodhisattva path, there is no fruition of sort of enlightenment. So these are like that. Therefore, without bodhicitta, Lama Tsongkhapa says here, even though you established, renunciation, but there is no Mahayana path. Mahayana path is a great path. Really, it's a great path because it's only taking care of others. They never say, this is my path, this is your path. They never say that. All yours, So it's great, great, great path, Mahayana path. So Mahayana. So if you are very thirsty and want to drink some tea, you need a cup to hold it, right? That's the same thing. If you want to take Mahayana path, bodhicitta is like cup, You need bodhicitta. You need first you need bodhicitta. Otherwise, you can't drink tea without cup. Same thing, you can't take Mahayana path without bodhicitta. If you really want to take Mahayana path, that's the thing. So Mahayana, according to Mahayana, without bodhicitta, even if we practice many hours, many hours, we are not walking towards any sort of, this path, fruition of enlightenment or the Mahayana path. So therefore, this is the essence. That's why we have to understand, we have to talk this over and over again. So if you want to change and develop your attitude, you need bodhicitta. That's why they call it supreme vehicle, great vehicle. It's very good. It's, this is kind of like, remind me, mindfulness, I have to be careful, like, so.
You could shut it off and turn it back on.
You might think that you already have the altruistic intention because you recite words and accumulate, bodhicitta prayer as part of your daily practice, right? Most of you already done like 100,000 times practice bodhicitta. So you might think that I already have the bodhicitta mind because I'm done, my recitation, bodhicitta prayers 100,000 times. But you should check. Maybe, I'm totally wrong. Maybe there are lots of, I'm sure there are, in here, lots of bodhisattvas in here. But, usually they say, only words and numbers are not enough. That's they say, right? But whether you or not, you have bodhicitta mind, for sure. Bodhicitta mind, you just, you don't, sometimes people ask me, do I have bodhicitta mind? Bodhicitta is not like that, Once you have, you really know it. Probably when you ask that, like, do I have bodhicitta? Probably not, because probably not. Otherwise, you will know. And then if you know it, then you don't ask that, right? So, when you like feel you strongly wish from the sort of depths of your heart to develop experience like bodhicitta, at this point, you have entered the Mahayana path of practice. So, once you have bodhicitta mind, even like people ask you, can you help me this? You will be so happy, even though like you hear this, help. Because they're looking for help, bodhisattvas like looking for help. And somebody asks help, they're so happy. They said this is like great bliss, So the common instructions for practicing bodhicitta are meditating on the four measurable, right? Equanimity, love, compassion, and joy. So these meditations are very common. Not only Buddhist, because there are many different people and different beings, different animals and different beings. But basically, if we think, all beings and everyone wishes and wants to be free from suffering, and everyone wishes to achieve happiness. Therefore, it is important to understand deeply that all beings equally have the same desire. We don't know. We don't have that what do you call it? That kind of idea, that knowledge, right? So most people, good people, even like good people, they help, people to people, human beings to human beings. But even like good people, they harm animals because they don't have a feeling like that. These animals, they want happiness or they feel suffering. They don't investigate or something. I don't know. Even like, for instance, good people kill animals and like that. So that means like, Buddha always say all beings, not only human beings, all beings wants and wish, free from suffering and achieve happiness. That's the bottom line. Not only human being. So therefore, it is important to understand equally, like all beings equally have the same desire. So as you know, when we practice love and compassion, we are really wishing, right? Wishing that all beings have happiness, and we are wishing that all beings free from suffering, and we are wishing that all beings who really, who already, have happiness and good things and continue to have this grow for them. That's for measurable, right? When we practice for measurable, we do that. Therefore, practicing for measurable qualities will cause us to develop bodhicitta. This is only relative bodhicitta, for measurables, relative bodhicitta. And according to the Shantadeva's, the guide to bodhisattva's way of life, Shanchip Senhui Chobalan Jukpa, there are three other ways to practice bodhicitta, right? You know that. One, considering others as equal to ourselves. That's one. Two, exchanging ourselves to others. Three, taking others as more important than ourselves. That's Shantadeva's like, instruction for practice relative bodhicitta. And then commonly we have also the six paramatas, right? Practice six paramata. That's action bodhicitta. All these three things are the application, aspiration bodhicitta. And we have prayer, bodhicitta prayer. We always say this prayer. May supreme precious bodhicitta take birth where it has not risen, where it has risen, may it never wane, but continue to grow forevermore. This prayer is so important. I hope you know that, right? Because this prayer is the essence of practice of bodhicitta, and also, the most important text Shantideva was the guide to Bodhisattva's way of life, right? So this prayer is the essence of this teaching, guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. According to Bhakti Rinpoche said that this prayer is like summary of the entire the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. So there you see 10 chapters, right? The Chonjuk in Tibet, Chobalan Jukpa, way of the Bodhisattva. It has 10 chapters, all of them teachings, 10 chapters, teachings on the bodhicitta. I will tell you this very briefly. And chapter 1, 2, 3 talk about the first line, which is given rise to bodhicitta. Okay? In our prayer, this is the first line. It's talking about chapter 3, 1, 2, 3. And chapter 4, 5, 6 talks about next line in this prayer, which is maintaining bodhicitta. And then chapter 7, 8, 9 talks about the final line, which is developing bodhicitta even more. And then, of course, chapter 10 is dedication, all of that. So we have chapter 10, right? The guide of Bodhisattva's way of life. So there are many different methods for bodhicitta practice. Why do we have 10 chapters practice on bodhicitta? Because bodhicitta is important. That you should understand that. You should read, if you have time, this book, Shantandeva's book. So wonderful. It's all about bodhicitta. And then also, we have this immeasurable prayers, and also Bhakti Rinpoche's lots of instructions. You should know all of that. And then for the renunciation practice, as you know, we have 4 thoughts that change your mind. These are very common practice for the renunciation, right? So practice the precious human life, we say, right? Impermanence of life. We are so fortunate, but then after that impermanence coming, impermanence of life, and then everything, what happened after after death, not disappear, cause and effect. We have that, cause and effect. If you do good things, then liberation there, benefit of liberation. If you create bad karma, samsara, defects of samsara. So all of that, 4 thoughts, right? Practice 4 thoughts that change your mind. It's really change your mind. Change your mind. So we need to understand really precious of our lives and how important it is, how difficult to achieve. And then not only that, it is impermanent. It will end at any time. We never know. That's why Lama Tsongkhapa says, there's no time to waste. But it will, something happen, it will not disappear, which means it is not completely the end of our lives, which means we have to follow our karma, either good or bad, right? So we have to investigate, and if it's a bad karma, we have to purify it. And in order to understand karma, we need to understand, as I said, the defects of samsara in order to understand karma. And in order to purify our negative actions, we need to understand the benefit of liberation. So these practices are related to each other. And these 4 thoughts are generally associated with the Buddha's first teaching. So these teachings are the first sort of stages on the Buddhist path, right? Which is about renunciation. And these practices allow all our minds and actions to become dharma. That's the point, to become dharma. Then our life meaningful. That is the benefit of renunciation practice. Because, right now, there is a big gap between our minds and dharma. Kind of, dharma is there, wonderful. When we listen teachings and read books, wonderful, but it's there, it's not here, But if you practice four thoughts, then that dharma brings here, Right now they are there. It's separated because strong and powerful sort of desire, attachment, all of that. So it means like we don't have a sort of genuine renunciation mind. So that's why there's a big gap between dharma and, even though dharma is free, I mean, like we can practice, we can bring it here, but it's can't, because it's kind of far away, But renunciation, if you practice renunciation, the dharma brings here. And then you practice bodhicitta, not just dharma here, but you have a pure and perfect and supreme dharma. Okay, that is renunciation in bodhicitta, and give you some instructions how to practice. Lot of, I teach you the benefit of practice renunciation and bodhicitta. So now, meditation time. This meditation is what we call a heart practice, which is bodhicitta, right? Bodhicitta meditation. So as I said, usually what I do when I meditate bodhicitta, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in front of me, inseparable like my teachers, Buddha, my teachers, same. So which is represents your kind of, lineage, right? Or liberation. Yeah. Your protection. That's what I feel, if I visualize that. And that's my refuge, and everything. So I don't visualize like lots of things there. So just only Buddha. And then I can make sure that all other Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, teachers, inseparable, That's very important. Sometimes you guys have a problem, or I practice Tara, but then I have to practice Vajrasattva, but I don't have time practice both of them. What should I do? That's the problem. Tara and Vajrasattva, same, So once you practice Vajrasattva, you practice everything. Once you practice bodhicitta, you practice everything. Once you practice renunciation, you practice everything. You have to understand that. But when you receive the teachings, different instructions and different, deities, all of that, then we don't know how to combine those things, right? So that's the problem. So anyway, so you visualize that in front of you, and then you really try to open your heart as much as you can, and imagine very beautiful sort of rays of light from the Buddha. And this light represents the Buddha's love, compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, everything, okay? Then kind of this light helps you like connecting with this refuge, and then the light dissolves kind of into your heart, okay, and transforms all your ordinary thoughts and emotions into bodhicitta, great love. Okay, that's easy, right? You got it? That's easy. So visualize that, light dissolve into your heart. That's represent your, Buddha's love, compassion, and then your ordinary thoughts is gone. As soon as you receive the light, your ordinary thoughts is gone. And then you have full of this kind of, bodhicitta and love and compassion. So with that visualization, then sometimes I say prayers, sometimes I say bodhicitta mantra, sometimes nothing, just relax that. Sometimes I visualize then the suffering people or whatever like that. So but the main thing is that, main sort of, so this today you do that, visualize that, and with that visualization, we will say a bodhicitta mantra, which is page 9 on number 7, bodhicitta mantra, page 9. First, you have to find page 9, and then number 7, bodhicitta mantra. So we say this mantra a few times, and then after that, just to relax with that visualization, okay? Do you understand? Very good. So this mantra, Om Bodhi Chitam Apadayami, Bodhicitta mantra. This mantra means like you are saying, I am generating bodhicitta, or generating the mind of enlightenment. So that's generally. It also means like to renew and refresh the body mind in order to practice kind of soundly. You say the mantra is represent like that, right? So and then after say the mantra, and then you look directly, sometimes you look directly at your experience of this meditation. Then, as I said, bodhicitta is very gentle, right? So your inner peace with gentle concentration, and be aware of this sort of inner peace, which is your bodhicitta mind essence. And then you relax there, then you send your love to others, whatever like that. So with that, say the mantra a few times. Om bodhicitam apadayami. Om bodhicitam apadayami. Om bodhicitam apadayami. Om bodhicitam apadayami. Om bodhicitta apadaya me. Om bodhicitta apadaya me. Om bodhicitta apadaya me. Om bodhicitta apadaya me. Om bodhicitta abadaya me om bodhi chadham abadaya me om bodhi chadam abadaya me om bodhi chada abadaya